Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to show you how to make an incredible homemade Subway style sandwich. We're going to make homemade Italian herbs and cheese bread, as well as making a meatball marinara for our filling for the sandwich. We're going to begin by adding 250 milliliters of warm water to a bowl, before adding 7 grams of yeast and around 12 grams of sugar. These should both roughly be a tablespoon. We then leave this for around 10 minutes to see if our yeast is still alive. We're then going to add around 1.5 teaspoons of salt and around 3 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to mix this together, then add half of the flour, mix again, add the other half of the flour, and then knead until a ball has formed. Let this rise for 1 hour, covered with a damp tea towel. Once risen, split this into 4, as this will make 4 loaves. You can shape this in a few different ways. We're going to opt for flattening the dough out completely and then tightly rolling it up and sealing the edges if needed. This may take some practice getting the shaping right, however after the first few it should become easier to do. We're then going to place this onto a baking sheet. We lined ours with cornmeal, but this is optional. We're then going to let this rise again for an hour, covered with a damp tea towel. Once risen, we're going to cover each loaf with dried oregano and grated parmesan. We're going to bake this in a preheated oven at around 180 degrees for between 10 and 15 minutes or until golden brown. Keep an eye on this as all ovens do operate differently. As soon as they're baked, make sure you put them onto a cooling rack and allow them to cool for a couple of hours. We're then going to begin to make our meatballs. We start by mixing 1 pack of sausages, which was around 8 of them, with 1 pack of beef mince, which is about 500 grams. We remove the sausages from their casing, so if you're able to buy sausage meat, this will be easier. We're then going to add half of a diced onion, some dried basil and oregano, roughly 80 grams of bread crumbs, as well as whisking together in a separate jug 2 eggs, some grated parmesan and some black pepper. We're then going to mix this all together with our hands until completely combined. Now we can shape them into golf ball sized meatballs. You will make a lot of meatballs out of this mixture, so what we did was use half of them for these sandwiches and the rest of them to eat with some spaghetti the day after. We're going to brown these meatballs in a hot pan with some olive oil. Once both sides are browned, we're going to take them out and put them to the side. We're going to add to the empty pan the other half of the diced onion along with some chopped up garlic cloves. We're only going to leave this in the pan on its own for about 20 to 30 seconds before adding 2 tins of tomatoes, mixing to ensure the bottom of the pan is being deglazed at the same time. We're then going to add some more dried oregano, basil and mix together, leaving to simmer for a few minutes. At this point we're going to finish our meatballs in the sauce, adding them all back into the sauce and allowing to cook in them until they are fully cooked. This should take between 8 to 12 minutes. Just make sure that the meatballs are fully cooked before you take them out of the sauce. While these meatballs are finishing, we're going to cut our bread in half, but making sure that it's still connected. We're going to place this on a baking sheet and grill them to make sure they are toasted. This will help stop the bread getting too soggy when we add the meatballs and the sauce. We're then going to add the meatballs on top of the bread when they are fully cooked. We're also going to add some of the sauce to each of the meatballs before placing cheese on top of it all. I use some Emmental cheese, but my brother opted for some mozzarella. We're just going to grill this until the cheese has fully melted. The Emmental will take less time than it would for using something like mozzarella. Once it is finished, we're going to take it out and add a generous amount of fresh basil before eating. I have made this sandwich a few times now and it is delicious every time, and it is very satisfying to recreate at home, and I couldn't recommend it enough. For me, one of the best parts is the bread. This is the perfect bread you can make at home if you want to improve any sandwich, as it can be quite difficult to find this type of bread in a supermarket. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and check our social media handles in the description below.